Hey guys, hi from Texas, going down from Dallas to Austin right now. I've been vlogging for the last week in Dallas, and I'm just giving you guys that last episode before going back to Hold'em and going back to the US. But felt like it was a good moment to pull out a vlog. I recorded in Montreal, dressed up as Santa. If you like the vlogs in PL05, be sure to let me know. If you just don't care and only want Hold'em, well, I'll do that. I'm in Dallas for the next 1 or 2 months, so I'm gonna be able to vlog a lot as I have the authorization. So, well, hope you enjoyed the episode. If you do, be sure to like and comment. And I'm going back to driving and going to Austin for the night. See you guys. There we go, sitting on that 2.2 PL05 at the playground, waiting for the 2.5 that looks much bigger as they have the auto double straddle on. I put on my costume and I'm ready to give away gifts to my opponents. Won a first small pot, but I couldn't film it as I was setting up everything, but I sit down at that table with 500 bucks. Second playable hand of the day, I raised to 20 from under the gun with King Queen Jack 7-8 double suited. The small blind 3-bets to 65 and the big blind calls. Of course, I call, very playable and multi-way, but I quickly make the fold when the flop comes ace-9 deuce and the big blind leads to 200. The turn is a deuce and the river is a queen, and I'm a bit surprised when the big blind takes it down with queen 6-5 4-3. Yeah, that's very light pre-flop and very light on the flop, and the table looks insane. It's a good sign for the rest of the session. Unfortunately, I leave that very cool table when Santa gets called to the 2-5 auto 20. The table looks nice too, and the stakes are much bigger, so why not? First interesting hand I play here, UTG limp, and I over limp in the small blind with ace king 10-9-4 single suited, and we go 4-way to ace queen for rainbow. Not too bad, but still a bit too light to lead, I think. I check and everyone else imitates me. The turn is a nice looking 9, and when everybody checked on the flop, I don't think anyone has a set or ace queen here, so time to get some value now. I value bet 60 with my 3 pairs and my gut shot, and only UTG calls, saying it is a gift for Santa. River is a brick 6, nothing gets in, and I'm happy to value against all lower 2 pairs now. Maybe a small size could trigger him to bluff 2, and I think he will never have me beat except if he somehow reverts pocket 6s, so I will have an easy call. So I bet 40, and after debating if the turn gift was big enough, he finally decides to fold. Unfortunate, but we take the W. Next hand, a reg opens to 75 from UTG, and I peel single suited aces. Well, my hand looks good and I'm not super deep as the max buy-in is 1000 on that game. Time to get the money in and hope for the best. I raise to 250, the straddler is debating about giving us another gift, but he decides otherwise and surprisingly he folds too. Pretty cool to get 100 with no showdown. I open on the button with 10-8-8-7-7 single suited and fold against a lead on Jack 5-4 2 clubs, and I 3-bet Jack 9-8-7 double suited out of position against the same guy as before. He calls and I know I have a pretty tight image against him, so I use it to my advantage and c-bet 1/3 on ace-ace-4, and we take it down without a fight. Next up, finally playing a big one, I raise to 75 with King Jack 10-9-7 single suited from the cutoff, and a pretty active player calls me from the small blind. Pretty good flop, 7-8-9 with 2 spades, and I've got the nut straight, a jack blocker for the flush, and top and bottom pair. Decent holding to start betting, so I bet 1/3, and after 30 seconds, he raises to 200. Well, pretty sure we have the same hand. The main problem is I don't have a flush draw, and he could easily have one, as it is very easy to have 2 spades in that game. Anyway, he's very active, so maybe he could do that without the flush draw, and I'm here to gamble. Still have the 2-pair redraw just in case, so let's get it in. He asks to run it 3 times, and I don't really care, so I agree. And I'm not very proud when he shows King Queen Jack 10-6 with the flush draw. I mean, terrible shape, definitely should have just called, but I mean, Santa is here to give money. Let's go to 3 runouts. He makes a flush on the turn on the first, so no good. We chop the second, very happy with the result, and on the last one we bank a 9 of spades on the turn, sealing half that pot. Was definitely expecting worse, so I'll enjoy my $5 profit. The table is great, everybody's throwing a 40 straddle every now and then, so I am of course part of the party, and on that end the straddle even goes to the button for 160. Unfortunately we get nothing playable. I fold a few hands after missing a bunch of flops, like a straight here with King 10 on Jack 9 deuce turn queen, but there is 3 diamonds on the flop and I face a pretty big bet from my opponent. Another big end of the night, cutoff, very active, opens to 60 and sit 1 makes the call on the button. I find myself in the straddle with king king, queen 9-8, double triple suited, and I defend. The board is insane actually. Jack 10 deuce rainbow and I have a mega wrap. Any card 7 or above gives me a straight. And I have kings also, which is a good start. I decide to check and the button bets out pot, so 190. Well, I have a pretty powerful hand with a bunch of equity. Pretty happy to get it in, so I pot it to 760. Thought he was gonna fold or jam, but he ends up calling. So we have to play a turn with like 200 bucks behind. Turn is a brick, 4, and I don't really know what to do. Guess I could just jam. He might have some draws I dominate, but I decided to check. Not sure why, but we have so little behind, I guess it doesn't make a big difference anyway. He checked back and I checked again on the river. Crazy how my 99% equity turned into just a top pair. I check again and he jams. Don't see myself folding, obviously, as he can have value cuts like Jack 10 or I don't know. It's 200 into 2k anyway, so we call and we scoop it after he shows ace, king, queen, jack 7 for top pair, top kicker and a nut trap. Well, PLO is fun when you win the big pots. Not long after, we pick up ace queen jack 9-3 in the big blind, the cutoff and small blind limp, I over limp and we go 5 ways to a flop of queen 10-7 with 2 diamonds. Open-ended, not gut shot, not flush draw, top pair, I check, but honestly I could totally take the lead here with so much equity. Luckily for us, our buddy in seat 7 does the job for us and he pots it to 100. I call to see a turn, and speaking of turns, we catch a beautiful king of spades, giving us the nuts with a redraw to the nut flush. I don't think anyone's bluffing on a board like this, and I don't want to give out free cards to the 2 pairs or sets. So I take the lead and bet 250. Unfortunately fold, but we scoop a nice pot. I'm in the straddle and this hand gets pumped to 40. There's a limp on the other side of the table, so I ISO raise to 200 with a premium, or at least it's a premium. Ace ace, king 8-7 with 3 clubs. I wasn't expecting anyone to fold and that's exactly what happens. We go 3 ways to a flop of 995. I decide to check because this board is way too locked in terms of equity, and if I bet there, I'm only getting called by 9x unless I bet super small, and that would just look too suspicious. Everyone checks behind me and the turn comes a 6. Same story on the turn. I'm really not sure I even have one straight of value against a hand like kings or queens or whatever. I could always bet my straight for value on the river if it checks around again. Everyone checks and the river brings a sweet ace, making our decision easier. Now it's clearly tough to get value here. I'm really just targeting a straight that check back or a hand that doesn't believe me. But anyway, if I check, no one's ever bluffing 3 ways, so I go for a 250 bet and unfortunately they all fold. Real situation points. I'm in for 1k and up around 1500 now. The table was pretty hot, so I hope it's gonna last. I chop a pot in the triple straddle with king queen against king queen on a paired river, and then a pretty funny hand comes up in the very next round. I'm still in for 40 and nobody raises, so I get to see a flop for free with 10-10 4 10-3, literally nothing. And what a flop, ladies and gentlemen, we flop a set on king 10 deuce with 2 spades. Too bad I don't have quads, but still it feels like a small achievement. I lead out right away for 100, lots of hands to get value from, and 2 players call. The turn is an 8, which seems harmless, but does bring in a bunch of potential draws. I would have preferred another 10, but no reason to slow down here, the pot's getting big, so I fire 350, and only the player on my right, who's a solid rate, makes the call. The river isn't great, the queen of hearts completing a bunch of stuff I was worried about. I was half expecting him to take the lead and put me in an awkward spot, but he checks. Not much else to do here but check back, and he shows me a lovely set he hit on the river. Unfortunate, but he mentioned afterward that he was planning to donk bluff half of the deck on that river, so it would have been tough to win this one anyway. The table settles down, I get a nice little value bet in against our body in seat 7 with up 2. Win and lose a few small pot, nothing crazy. One last hand I take down with ace ace jack jack, a defense that doesn't hold, and it's time to call it a night for me. I don't have tons of experience in PLO, so I get tired pretty quickly. If you enjoyed this vlog, let me know in the comments. I'm in Dallas now, so I'll be able to crank out French and English vlogs since I've got the green light to film here. We're booking a total profit of 1530 in 4 hours and 20 minutes of play. Not too bad for a Friday night. Heading to the cashier, and I'll catch you in the next one.